Hey everyone, my name is David Dunbar, or the Theme Park Evangelist. Gonna talk a little quieter. I was talking a little louder about 30 seconds ago because of the fact that I want to talk to my close friend Artem, that lives in Washington State, and talked to him for about an hour, and I was like, I wonder what time it is, and I'm like, holy crap, it's already 11:30. I really wanted to get this YouTube video done really quick. I do have to get up at 7 in the morning. I don't plan on watching any TV tonight. So I did have today off. I did actually YouTube earlier over at the Ark Encounter, like I promised, and the video is actually already on YouTube. Um, Before I go to bed, I just wanted to talk really quick tonight. I wanted to talk about what it was like for me to go to both Passion 2015 and 2017. I figured this would also be something that maybe Tristan would be interested in hearing. I've talked about Tristan quite a bit. TJ actually got to follow me out to the church that took me to both Passion conferences out in 2017. I'm going to leave that part out of it because you can actually look at that YouTube video up in my How I Met Kate and TJ YouTube videos, which I do need to get back to very soon. I'm not going to go into excessive detail because there really is not a lot of information to cover, so I'm just going to kind of get into it really quick. And this will give you guys a chance to kind of get to know my friends a little bit better. So, we would always meet at this church I started going to back in 2012 or so. And I had some really close friends. So, Kimberly Booker was one of them, or just Kimberly is what you can know her as. And she has an identical twin sister, Kendra. Kimberly works at the Magic Kingdom in guest services, you could say, or guest relations. She kind of works with the strollers. Then there was my close friend Artem. You guys know him as YouTube Artem D. We're still close friends to this day. He has his own app that I've actually demonstrated or shown in one of my earlier YouTube videos from years ago. And he is now married and has a son and is already planning on having another child and is planning on trying to get his own house. And he's currently working on his degree, so his associates. So I was really excited to hear that about him and just hear how he's doing with his life and, praying and hoping that I'll get to see him again one day in person and give him another big hug because I miss him. Love him to death. It's sad that he's very liberal and I'm more on the neutral side, but, I still, respect him for who he is. And then finally, I also kind of just hung out with a bunch of people I'm just kind of friends with at the church. I'm not as close to them as I used to be in the past, but it's not like I still don't know them. But yeah, the people I was kind of going into more detail of, those are the people I was definitely closer friends with and still am to this day. Like Kimberly, Kendra. I mean, Kendra not so much, but Kimberly and Artem for sure. I have been very close friends with for a very long time. Unfortunately, we did recently lose a friend of mine from that church, and his name was Brandon. But at least we still have his brother around, so that's a good thing. And the college pastor, thankfully, I'm still friends with as well. Anyway, I kind of want to give you guys that background information. Also, sad as it is, as this is, I'm no longer friends with someone I just met back in the Passion 2017 conference, and her name is Danielle Myers. Never did learn what the L stood for. Danielle was a pretty cute girl. She was really nice. I thought she and I could have gotten along really well, but unfortunately it never did work out that way. But definitely glad I got to know her when I did. But anyway, so kind of like what we did with both conferences was we would book, or we would register in advance. We would book the hotel in advance. We always got a really good rate. We always got the same hotel every single time. So I went with them twice. So we got in this really nice bus, and we would um, all meet at the church early. We would bring all of our stuff with us. Since we were staying in a hotel anyway, we normally didn't have to worry about like bedding or anything. We would bring like our toiletries. The church was usually pretty good about bringing breakfast. I think the very first time we went, we did not bring breakfast, which ended up being like the worst decision we ever made. Long story short, they did sell breakfast in the hotel, but it was like basically like ridiculous expensive. So we decided, well, instead we will bring our own breakfast with us and just charge everybody $5 each, and that actually ended up being better. And then you would just have to go to a specific hotel room to go get it. And I actually like that idea better, and I complimented them for that idea. And I was glad that we had more parents on the second trip too. So we made a lot of improvements on the second trip that I made out with them. I don't know for sure if they went out in 2016. I don't remember personally. I all I remember was 2015 overall. Like as far as how many people went in general, it wasn't terrible. I mean, considering we're talking pre-COVID times, there was like maybe 10, 15,000 people. So we were all meeting at the Atlanta Hawks Stadium, which is really not that big. And then in 2017, there was 50,000 people there. That's roughly as many people as I would see at Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom. And all those people were all at the Georgia Dome. That's how many people we had to bring with us. Keep in mind, this was right around the time they were starting construction, or they were actually halfway through construction on the new Atlanta um, Falcon Stadium or whatever it was. So I was like, dang, I didn't even know about it until I went to Passion 2017. But yeah, anyway, we would go into this hotel room. You can actually see uh, what Atlanta looks like at night if you go and look up my Passion 2017 conference video. I don't remember exactly. I didn't YouTube a whole lot, but I did YouTube at least the view from the hotel room, and it was it was kind of nice. We would get to this hotel room, and we would go and drop off all our stuff, and then we would have some time to change. Normally, everybody would come or get on the bus wearing like pajamas or sweatpants or something like that, and then we would get into our hotel rooms and we would dress up into something a little nicer, which makes sense since we were just on a bus for like hours. Maybe a couple of us would try to catch a nap or something, and then we were given the opportunity to either A, take an hour long bus ride, which of course you have to get on the bus early because the bus had to drive all the way over there, or B, you could walk, which I preferred walking. I'm like, forget the bus, this is not worth it. So, I would sometimes, if I did feel like getting cold, I would. Because for me, as a former Floridian, I used to think that the 40s was pretty cold. Now I'm like, really? That's cold, David? I mean, keep in mind, I have been living here in Kentucky for 2 years. Atlanta's south of me now. So, yeah, I mean, come on. I live like 15 minutes off of Cincinnati. Cincinnati's like my next door neighbor. Not to mention Lawrenceburg. So, you guys kind of pretty much know where I live already. Based on where I live. So, I mean, I live in Florence now. But, anyway, like Florence, Kentucky, not Florence, Italy. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted easily. So, we would get over there. So let's start with like 2015. We get over the Atlanta Hawks Stadium, and the first session would start up. So we do like 30 minutes to an hour of singing, and normally in the first night you have a lot of people are like not necessarily saved, but a lot of but there would be like a lot of excitement. They would all come here like, "Are you excited to be here?" Blah blah blah, stuff like that. And then you would have a speaker come out and speak, and I think it was like getting on about 10 o'clock at night, and they were like, "Well, guess what? You're gonna go over to the Georgia Conference building, and you're gonna go and meet your group." And you know, if you're a young person, obviously that's it's not gonna be a big deal for you to go. Okay, cool. So now you're gonna go over this big building, and then you're gonna go in this giant room, right? And you're gonna sit down on this mat, and you're gonna do crisscross applesauce, like you used to do when you were in like kindergarten. No, I'm just kidding. Well, around that time frame, I used to do it all the time, even in middle school. Hated it. It was too big then, too big now. So I'm like, my legs are killing me. Like, why are you doing this to me? And you have your two guys that would come out, and they're like, "Are you excited to be here?" Kind of stuff. And they would first, try to trick you by having you introduce yourself to this random group of people. They're like, "Okay, now we want you to get up and introduce you to another group of people." And then they're like, "This is going to be this is going to be your family, so to speak, for the next couple of days." And you're like, "Okay." So I kind of got to know these random five people I've never met in my life for the next little bit. And then they're like, "So you're going to meet with these same people tomorrow." Now, keep in mind, there's a couple thousand people in this room, and you have to somehow manage to find these people. And they're like, "Well, if you have to take a picture of them, usually they have you take a picture with them, so like a selfie or whatnot." So I'm like, "Okay." So you take a picture of these guys. I actually have a couple of them, but I'm not going to insert any photos because I'm doing a video with my laptop. So you finally make your way back to the hotel, go to sleep, attempt to. I mean, you are usually sharing a hotel or motel room with, no, it is a hotel room, with other people. So, and keep in mind, this is downtown Atlanta, so you can see some crazy stuff. And that's the appropriate way to put it. One time I was heading back to the hotel room, and I'm literally going through the deepest, darkest part of Atlanta. And, like, it was already bad enough that I saw homeless people just kind of sitting wherever. Then I'm, like, over by the strip club, right? This lady comes out, and she stumbles in with her high heels, all drunk. And I'm just like, okay. Like, whatever. I remember the very first night, and this just kind of proves how much I care about my John MacArthur Study Bible. So the first morning after I went and got breakfast, I put my Bible down somewhere. I don't honestly remember where I put it right away, and I actually did take it on the bus with me, but I didn't remember doing that, and I got off the bus and I forgot my Bible. But the bus driver knew I had it. But he didn't see until later on that I had left my Bible on there. And, I go looking all over the hotel for it. And I'm like, where is it? Where did I put my Bible? I mean, when this happened doesn't matter. All I remember is that it took place the very next day. And I literally am freaking out the hotel staff. Now, I'll tell you right now, do you really think a hotel in downtown Atlanta is going to care about someone's Bible that you could easily replace? But surprisingly, they were actually genuinely concerned. So I give you guys a 5-star rating, whichever way I want to turn it. I'm used to putting my hand like that because when I worked at Magic Cam at Tomorrowland Speedway, this meant 5. This meant stop. We were taught backwards because we were ride operators or attractions. And fortunately, I have it memorized like that to this day. And that was like, what, 4 years ago, 4 to 3 years ago, or 3 to 4 years ago. And yet, I've got it drilled in my brain. Like, if you ever notice the way I point, I still point like this, which is the Disney point. So, I don't even usually point like that anymore. So, yeah, pay close attention to the way I point, especially to you, Tristan. I know you work with me, so yeah, I definitely want you to be watching for that. So Tristan is my number one subscriber, so I always have to do shout outs to him in every single YouTube video. And that's why I always like to mention that too. Super excited, by the way, to be going on a trip with him next February. I will try so hard not to film him unless he asks me specifically to casually add him in the background. But I'm going to try so hard not to film him while I'm on vacation with him and his wife, Rachel, next February and in March. I'm really excited about this opportunity, though. But anyway, the next day was basically the long version of the first night, where it literally started really early in the morning. Like you were already out late the night before, and they're like, "Now guess what? Your day is gonna start at 8 in the morning, and it's gonna end after midnight." And you're just like, but they're like, "You're a young person, you got this." So you literally start in that same exact room I was just telling you guys about, and of course, they're like jumping up and down, like they got ants on their pants or something. They got their coffee. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're good to go," And I'm just like, I don't really know how best to describe it. Just that maybe that's better. Like, I'm really tired. Ugh. What do you guys want with me at 8 in the morning? I was up till 1 or 2 in the morning. Oh, it was basically like that. Using those acting skills to my advantage. And then we were there for a little bit, and they were like, "Okay, now we need you to go back to the Georgia Dome or wherever it was." And so, we go back over there. Trust me, 2017 was a lot harder because of the fact that we had to push through 50,000 people, and that was hard. So, we would go, back to the main building. We would, sing more and hear another speaker. And then they would be like, "So we're going to be cool and we're going to feed you guys Jason's Deli," which is super, super good. It was basically kind of like a box lunch. It was a sandwich, chips, and a cookie. And some people are like, "I don't want my chips or I don't want my sandwich." So sometimes I got extra food, and they give you a water bottle. And I love Jason's Deli. It was amazing. I always look forward to it. I had it for the first time in 2015. I had it again in 2017. They're like, "How cool is that? We're gonna feed thousands of college students Jason's Deli right here in the Atlanta Hawks Stadium or in the Georgia Dome." Like, how often do you see that? And they always say the same thing every single time. So they usually give you a little time to do that, and then they go literally right back into another session. So they have another half an hour or an hour of singing, and they have another speaker come out. And then they're like, "Okay, we're going to give you guys a 2 hour break so you can go do whatever you want." So in 2015, I went over to the legit CNN Center. Now, I'm not a supporter of the CNN at all, but yes, if you're wondering where it is, it's in downtown Atlanta. And the first time I went in there, it wasn't too bad. Like, there was a little bit of a wait to get in, but I remember the Chick-fil-A had about a half an hour wait, which is not surprising when there's like thousands of college students. But I do remember in 2015 I ate at Chick-fil-A in the CNN Center, and I was like, "Hey, I'll wait 30 minutes for Chick-fil-A for all I care." Chick-fil-A is so worth it. Chick-fil-A is like my favorite fast food restaurant by far, like by any means, or whatever. So I had my Chick-fil-A. I called up my mom and let her know how things were going. I'm glad I'm having this 2 hour break finally. Like, my brain is literally fried right now. I'm just like, I'm so done right now, but yet I know I'm not done. That's like literally the best way to put it, right? And then 2017, I tried to get into the CNN Center. What do you get when you add 50,000 college students to the CNN Center at the same time? You got a 2 hour wait for Chick-fil-A. Not even kidding. I'm surprised it was only a 2 hour wait. with 50,000 college students, considering it was about a half an hour wait with about 15,000 college students. So they must have been expecting it that time. And it was already a good 15-minute wait just to get into the CNN Center, if I remember correctly. Well, there happened to be a wing place right next to it. No, I'm not even kidding. When I got back home, I suddenly had a mental breakdown. I could not remember for the life of me what the name of that wing place was, and I spent like forever trying to look it up. I never remembered. And I'm like, how do you not remember the place you were just eating at? David, why didn't you just write it down or something while you're there? Of course you didn't. What else is new? So, I literally was, in just this really good wing place, and I had never eaten here before, and I honestly don't even know the text message from my that I texted my mom. We're talking 4 years ago. How am I ever going to find it now? Nor did I check into Facebook either, which stinks. Not that I remember. And I go in this place. It was really good. I was really impressed, and it was right next to the CNN Center. If I could go back, I would know. However, though, I'm unfortunately too old to go back to Passion. But oh my goodness, what I would give to go back. I think that was my last year as it was, because I knew I was getting too old as it was by that point. I turned 28 in November. It's September now, so yeah, I don't see that coming anytime soon. But you know how it is. But anyway, um, after I ate dinner, regardless whether it was 2015 or 2017, you got to hear kind of from both sides of this coin on this one. We would all go back, eventually, and this was kind of like the final session of the night, the really exciting one. And then we would go back to our, groups one last time for the night, and then we would go back to the hotel, try to get some more sleep one last time. We had to make sure, the hotel room was packed by the next morning, or all our stuff in the hotel room was packed by the next morning. So we, in the morning, would get up a little earlier, pack up the bus, because we were actually going to head back that afternoon. The last session, I shouldn't even say afternoon, late that morning. So the last session was usually relatively early, and it was a lot shorter than the other ones. We would have one last group session relatively early in the morning. By this point, the bus is already packed up, and everything is out of the hotel by this point. So we would go and do one last group session. We would say bye to our, family for the next few days. And honestly, I'm not even kidding. You either lucked out, and you could be like years from, like, let's say 27. I met that, so to speak, family like 4 years ago. I could either have met that one family that I'm literally still in touch with 4 years later, or you could be on the other side of the coin and be more like on my side, where I have absolutely no contact with them at all, and it's all because of the fact that not everybody's gonna grow that strong of a bond with you within like a couple of hours over the course of 3 days, basically, and that's all they give you is roughly 2 to 3 hours over the course of 3 days, and they expect you to become, as close as family. It's like, yeah, life doesn't always work like that. No offense, but the last session was always really nice. We would have one more session, one more chance to sing, and one more speaker would come out. We've heard from all kinds of different speakers. I mean, one time I heard from an actual astronaut out in outer space. Like, how cool is that? And then that was actually the same year that I saw Francis Chan in person. I don't remember that year offhand, what year that was. But Francis Chan literally came out like this. How cool is that? We literally just spoke to an actual astronaut. But I want you to get that thought out of your head right now if you think that's cool. Because you know what's even cooler? Is talking to the man who, or the guy who created the astronaut in the first place, Jesus Christ. Like, you have not met anybody more humble. If you have never met anybody more humble than Francis Chan, I don't know what's wrong with you. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm serious though about Francis Chan. Francis Chan is probably the most down to earth, humble man I've ever met in my life. Like, well, I shouldn't really say met him, but heard in my life. Like, I am so blessed and thankful I've got a chance to hear him in person. And after I heard him speak for a half an hour, I was like, more or less. I've also heard in person. Well, I shouldn't say. I don't remember if it was in person. I know it was online. It was Sadie from Duck Dynasty. I know for a fact that when I was there in person not too long ago, Carrie Underwood was there, and I heard that word got out about that, and it was 2017 that Passion had their big anniversary, and they made it sound like we're going to give this whole entire section free Bibles, and that's it. Nobody else gets anything. Then they're like, kidding, we're going to give every single one of you a Bible. That was probably the big thing that they did besides bring out an astronaut and bring Carrie Underwood out. Like, 2017 was definitely their bigger year, probably why they had like 50,000 college students. It's like, holy crap. Probably why they also had the Georgia Dome. But what really made me excited, no offense, and as stupid as it sounds, when I turned on my Wi-Fi settings and I found free Wi-Fi in the Georgia Dome, like literal fireworks started going off in my mind. And that's like the dumbest thing about me. I don't know why. Like, my day is just absolutely made. If I'm out in public somewhere, especially if I'm going to be sitting on my tushy for the next, several hours, and if I see no free Wi-Fi, I'm like, But if I see there's going to be free Wi-Fi, just imagine the Hallelujah course by Handel's Messiah or whatever, just playing, and that's exactly what was going on in my mind at the time, and I'm just like, hallelujah. I'm so crazy, and because today was my day off, and it was a good day. You really get to see my crazier side right about now. I am just kind of sorry I didn't show too much of my crazier side earlier in Tristan. I guess I just didn't want to embarrass myself or anything. I don't know why. I tend to show more of my crazier side if I'm around people I am more comfortable and familiar with. Like, I'm definitely getting there with Tristan for sure. Like, I'm starting to reveal more and more about myself. But as, I kind of said to him, I can see you're intentionally, you know, putting off telling me more about yourself to kind of get more comfortable with me. But that's normal with anybody, though. It all comes with time. Anyway, it's about midnight now, and that's kind of when I was planning on stopping. So I really pray and hope that you guys really enjoyed hearing about this. This is something that God laid on my heart to talk about my experience going to Passion. Sometime I would also like to talk to you guys about other things that I've gotten to experience in my life. That would be a really good discussions for my YouTube channel. I'm sure I will brainstorm some more while or if I'm ever up on deck 3. But now that I'm kind of moving around on the Ark, which is such a huge blessing, the odds of me finding the time to think about it is a lot lower. If I'm ever up on deck 3 again and it's boring, like as usual, then yeah, the odds of me brainstorming something really cool to talk to you guys about is a lot higher. But anyways, hope that you guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you guys in the next vlog. And I don't remember if I said this in the last one, and I apologize if I didn't. Always remember, You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great night, and peace out.